Okay, let's talk a little bit about where to plant raspberries. And in the wild, if you think about it, where raspberries grow in naturally, wild raspberries, is to a clearing in the woods, a place a tree's fallen over, a place a bulldozer's gone through, the edge of a path, something like that. And they're kind of the first plant, one of the first plants to move in, and they don't stay there real long. They like to move on. They like to move to a new sunny spot. So they do need sunshine. You can't plant them just in the deep woods in the shade, so pick a sunny spot. And most of our soil here in Fairbanks is pretty devoid of organic matter. So these are raspberries that I planted last spring, and they might not look like much to you, but I'm actually pretty happy with how they look because they're alive. And what we did here is this is just a place that it's convenient for me to throw some raspberries because we're trying to hold this slope in. 2 years ago this was forest, and then we built our house, so we're trying to do some landscaping here, and I didn't have anything to put here, so I just quick planted some raspberries last summer. And so I'm trying to hold the soil. And then when we did our wood cutting this spring, I said to Adam, let's throw all the leftover stuff on those raspberries. If you can add any kind of organic matter, that is a favorite for raspberries. Any kind of mulch. Our soils don't have much organic matter here in Fairbanks, so if you can throw down some leaves, some grass clippings, anything, they love it. Raspberries send out lateral roots, so they will try to have roots that can grow through this bark and stuff eventually. It'll sort of break down, and they'll love climbing through this. It's kind of like what they would do in the wild. Now these are just a year old, and they won't probably have any fruit this year. See, they're just, I hope you can see them. They all have these yellow tags on them. This will be a first year cane. This is a second year cane, but it's not big enough to have fruit. This one might be big enough to have a little fruit on it. Well, what will happen is this one, second year cane, and then some more first year canes will grow from the same, and those from the same spot, and they'll be bigger, and only the big canes can bear fruit. So next summer I might get some fruit, but I would say 3 years to full maturity, possibly 4, depending on if your soil and you have enough sun and so forth. So once again, this is a second year cane, too small to have much fruit. This will be a first year, and first year canes don't have any fruit. Raspberries bear on second year canes. So if this gets pretty big this summer, then next summer it will have some fruit. And after that, this plant will spread, and they'll just spread and spread, fill this whole area. So I guess the way I think about it is there's kind of 2 stages to growing raspberries. First of all, you're just trying to remember that they're there and not forget about them. Weed around them, take care of them for 3-4 years. After that, you're just trying to kill them back and cut them back and keep them from spreading, and they just go like crazy. We'll show you that later. But find a place in your yard when you get some plants from me or from somebody else. Find a place that's sunny. Make sure to add mulch if you have any compost, any friends with chickens, or throw some manure down, and then throw something. They love this type of stuff for their roots to crawl through. Like I say, any kind of yard clippings, something like that, put it down, and maybe mark them so you won't forget where they are, because it's going to be a couple years till you really see them take off. So yeah. This is another spot in the yard where I threw some raspberries again, trying to kind of hold in the dirt here, though we got the grass growing now. But this is a really good example of a second year kind of new raspberry cane. This one's pretty good size now, so it will have berries on it. I don't need to prune it. It's not that big to prune yet. And you see it's starting to spread. It's starting to send out some other shoots. these look like second year canes. Here's going to be a first year cane, and it will start to spread and grow other plants. This is last year's cane. It has some very small fruit on it. I probably didn't even pick it because it was pretty small, but you can see, this one's totally dead. So raspberries grow up the first year, bear fruit the second year, then they die. You can see it all really clearly right here on this. This is poor soil. I didn't add anything to the soil. It gets good sun, but I haven't paid attention to them other than keep them alive and not mow them down or something, and just pull weeds around them a little bit. So just another example of a place I've planted raspberries. Okay, I want to show you here, these are my 6-year-old raspberries, and you see this jungle. So I'm telling you, after a few years, they can really take off. And from then on, you'll find yourself cutting them back and cutting them back, cutting them back. I want to talk, before I show you pruning, I want to talk a little bit about different varieties. One thing I found here in Alaska, don't try to grow wild raspberries. It's just not worth it. In Illinois, where I grew up, we had wild black raspberries, and they were every bit as big and delicious as my dad's domestic berries. But here in Alaska, I have tried to grow wild ones along with the domestic ones, and they're small. The plants never get this big. They're seedy, full of bugs. The fruit it's not worth it. So please don't try it. Yeah, they're even more prickly. So if I see them in my patch, I cut them out. In my patch, I have 2 different kinds of berries. You can see these are kiskas, and they're kind of purpley canes. You can see here the color changes from these guys here. Mostly I have this kind. What kind it is, I don't know. We'll just call it the backyard raspberry because the lady gave them to me, and from that I've propagated all that I have here. I get 30 to 50 gallons off this small U-Pick patch, so it's enough for me, and I sell raspberries out of here. This variety, my backyard variety, the canes are tougher, bigger, the berries are bigger, they taste better, they grow faster. They're just superior in every way, in my opinion, to these other ones. But at some point I thought, if I'm going to have a commercial patch, I should have more than one variety, and I should just buy some plants at a nursery, and so I did. But I really don't like them as well. You can, if you request them from me, I will get them for you, but typically I sell people these because they're just superior in every way that I know of. So that's about varieties. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything, but my experience with this kind has been so good that I haven't really wanted to even buy other raspberries. Now I'm going to show you how I prune, and this is a real you're getting a real treat here. You're getting your money's worth, because there aren't that many people around Fairbanks who know how to prune. In fact, I went to one commercial grower and I just wanted to see how they did. I went to their patch and I said, well, how do you prune? And they had these blank looks, and eventually some guy in the corner said, the moose come and eat them off. So, great. I guess, the moose here might not be as good as the moose over there that eat them down or something. I don't know. But anyway, if you don't prune, you won't get a harvest. You will end up with canes growing everywhere, going wild. They might look wonderful because there'd be tons of them, but you just won't get a harvest. I saw a patch, and I wouldn't have maybe believed it unless I saw it with my own eyes, but it was no rows. It was just a solid mass of beautiful raspberry plants, and the growers said, we can't tell why we're not getting any berries. So I went out to look because I thought maybe they just can't find them. But no, there was hardly anything. Beautiful plants, hardly any berries. Right, Hank? And so they figured out they hadn't pruned. You have to prune. It's just the way God designed these plants to be. And I always remember John 15 this time of year. So if you go back and read what Jesus said about the vine and the branches, it's going to make a lot more sense to you after this. This berries, some of these berries and grapes and blueberries and different things are just designed. They don't work unless you prune them. So for pruning, I like a long-handled shears like this. I like a curved blade. I've had this years and years and years. I think Adam sharpens it sometime, but it lasts a long time. It's nice to maybe have a short one as well. Joanna uses this. My daughter has helped me quite a bit because it takes hours for me to prune out here. It's pretty tedious, but very worth it. Okay, so I'm going to show you what you need to do to prune. Once your berries take off, you've got a jungle like this. First of all, if you look and see these ones that have like the bark peeling off, that are woody, dry, there's obviously nothing on here. So these have already borne fruit and they're done. They're dead. They will never grow again. They will never bear fruit again. So the first thing we do is pull them out. And I want to show you this one. And this is, stumbling around here. This shows exactly why we prune. See, last year I cut it right here. And what happened was it forced these branches to branch out. And these are the little knobbies that you pick when you pick raspberries. So that's where the fruit was last year. So that shows, you know, it works, right? You cut it here and you're telling the plant, change your energy, put your energy into something different. You're changing the direction. Stop growing, don't have a growth contest, but put your energy into the side branches. And the fruit, the biggest fruit is on the lowest branches. The biggest fruit is on the thickest canes. And so that's what we're going for. So first of all, we're going to cut out all these dead ones and pull them out. Let's try to start narrowing down our jungle here.
And you don't want to use them as mulch. You want to get rid of them.
Right, thank you. Yeah, we carry these out of the patch and burn them or mulch them later. So in this cluster right here, I've just eliminated all my dead ones. Oh, I've got one more over here maybe. Let's see. I cut them as close to the ground as I can because I don't want stumps to sort of build up and accumulate over time. Okay, next I'm going to start attacking the smallest canes, and I'm just going to quickly, these are too far out to the side, they're too small, they would never be big enough to have berries on them this year. So I'm just going to get rid of them. And I make pretty snap decisions. I go pretty fast just moving along. Another thing is I only want my row to be 12 to 18 inches wide. I don't want them to keep spreading. If you let them go, they'll keep spreading. See, I guess cut out all these side ones that are too far out. Okay, now I've kind of got a few more little ones there. I'm just working on this cluster here. I've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. I've still got about 10. I won't allow more than 6. So this one's kind of far out to the side and small. I'm going to take it out. This one's small. Just kind of start with the smallest ones. Work my way up to the biggest. This one's small, smaller, and I'm going to take out this one also. So now I've got, from this cluster, I've got kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm going to take out that one also. So now I've got about 6. I don't allow more than 6. Some people even cut it down to just 1 per foot of row. I allow a little bit more than that. You know, you can experiment a little bit. Then what we need to do is top these long canes, because if I let these go, you know, this is already over my head. It's just going to keep going. So you want to do these about 3.5 feet tall. And Joanna's shoulder was just 3.5 feet, so she was topping all these for me. But, you know, I'm going to cut these side branches back just a little bit too, so they don't get so long. And then that tells the plant to put its energy into bearing fruit. So we've got these, just a few nice thick canes with, you know, each one of these is going to be huge by the fall with their big leaves and everything. They're going to send out branches here closer to the ground. It's going to be better fruit. The thicker, bigger canes will be bigger fruit. So that's how you do it. I cut out at least half of what grows every year. I mean, that pile on the ground is probably bigger than what's left. I might even cut out 2/3 of what grows. So you really feel like a raspberry killer, but it's the only way. I don't know why. God made it that way. So that's it. Go out and grow some raspberries. Be patient for the first few years. Get a good sunny spot, put some mulch on there, be patient, weed around them, don't let the weeds come up too much, and then eventually you'll have a nice big patch and you'll be growing your own raspberries. You do not want your raspberries to look like in the spring. It's a jungle. You won't get much production. They'll just keep spreading and you won't get any more berries. But this is what you want them to look like. A bunch of half-dead little sticks, because each one of these is going to be a huge producer of berries by the time they grow. And we wanted to show you our pile over here. This is how much we cut out of the patch this spring. And you don't want to leave these in the patch. You want to get them out. They're prickly and they could possibly spread disease, although we don't seem to have many raspberry diseases. But yeah, so this is the pile we cut out. Well, we hope you like this video. Adam took a lot of pains to help me do it, and like I say, we would have loved to do it in person and maybe another time. But for now, we hope you enjoy it. Hope you check out some of our other videos and maybe even subscribe to our channel. All right, Charlotte from Fairbanks, Alaska with Practical Porters.